Good morning, folks. This is Damien here, and welcome. It's great to see you here nice and early. Beth, Kathy, Daniel, Nicholas, Predrag, Rodney, and Tracy. Welcome, guys. Good to have you here with us as we get ready for Design Assessment Tool, our Assessment Tool Design Day. Get the order of the words right, Damien. Assessment Tool Design Day. I'm excited to have you here. My name's Damien. I'll be helping you today. So welcome, folks. What I would love you to do is I would love it if you could just pop a yes in the chat. Just let me know you can let me know that you can hear me okay. So if you can hear me okay, pop a yes in the chat would be amazing, please. Awesome. Good stuff. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. A sea of yeses. That makes me very happy. Because in this webinar format, I can't see you, unfortunately. I can't hear you. So the chat will be our friend today. If you've got any opening questions, anything off the cuff that you want to ask straight away, please ask your question in the chat. Let us know. So if you have a question, pop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll ask you another question. And the question is, can you see my video okay? Just confirm that that's working as well. Yes, from Daniel, fast on the fingers. Nicholas, thank you. Good stuff. Rodney, Kathy, thank you very much. All right, awesome. Good stuff. So we'll be starting right on time in 10 minutes time. So if you need a coffee or go to the toilet or pray that it's a good day, whatever you need to do, I'm hoping your prayers won't be necessary, because I'm hoping we're going to have a great time here today, learn a lot of stuff, and get you headed on the road to success with respect to your assessment work for the ASS cluster or TAE ASS 502 or TAESS 00015, whichever flavor, of course, you're doing, where you're going to be developing assessment tools. We might even have some people with us today from the ERPL upgrade, and that's okay too. So if you're in one of those courses, this should be great. If you've got any questions, please ask, pop them in the chat, and we'll be getting started in just a little while. Above all else, thanks for being here, because it's a really lonely place at a webinar without people. Yeah. So thanks for being here. Really appreciate you coming on board today, and hope you get a lot of value for today. I really do. All right, so I'm going to go silent for a couple of minutes, maybe brush my hair again, and I'll be around again in a couple of minutes. All right, awesome. Hi, it's Damien again, folks. Predrag, I notice you've put your hand up. So Predrag, if you've got a question, please pop it in the chat, or maybe you put it up by accident, or maybe you're just having a bit of a play and checking that things work. But if you've got a question, please pop it in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer it for you. Meanwhile, I just popped your hand back down again. Beth, Brett, Carmen, Kathy, Daniel, Joy, Michelle, Nicholas, Predrag, Rodney, Simone, and Tracy, and Brendan. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. My name's Damien. I'll be taking you through the webinar today. We're now 7 minutes away from kickoff, and I'm looking forward to helping you today. It's all going to be all solely focused on designing an assessment tool, not the theory of it. We're actually going to do one today. So you'll have the chance to work through it and make sure that it all works for you. Predrag, that's great that you were just checking that it works. It did work. That hands up thing does work, which is great. And we'll use that a few times today as well when I ask for your hands up on various things. Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to put myself on mute here for a moment, folks, and we'll be getting started very soon. Welcome back, folks. For those who've just joined us in the last couple of minutes, my name is Damien, and I'm here from the Mr. Where to Learn a Success team, here to help you today, and really looking forward to getting going for an on-time departure in 4 minutes time. It's good to see so many of you here so early. We've got 20 folks here today, and we had a lot of registrations, so I think we'll probably crack up over 40, 45 by the time we've started today. So it's going to be great. Kathy, you may be laughing, but the question is, are you wearing your pajamas? That's the question. You don't have to answer that. All right. But thanks for asking the question. With this webinar software you are using today, I cannot see you. So I can't see you. I don't know if you're really there or paying attention. Hopefully you are. Trackies. Nice, Kathy. Trackies work. That sounds like good news. All right, I am going to share the slideshows. Okay. Folks, could you pop a yes in the chat, please, if you can see the slide that's come up, our opening slide for today? Excellent, thank you. Lots of yeses. Super duper. Not only are you there, but you're awake. Woohoo! Mind you, it's 9 o'clock. We've got a fair way to go, haven't we? But we've got a big day planned today, and I'll be telling you all about how it's going to work in just a couple of minutes. But I'll just give others a chance to join us first. Elizabeth, you've got your scruffy dog here today. Oops, that was only sent to hosts and panelists. Never happened. But dogs are welcome. That's good. That's great. All righty. Did anyone have any questions about the course just while we're waiting this last couple of minutes before we start? If you have a question about the course, Can be anything. Come on, test me. Make it hard. Get my brain working nice and early in the morning. Because we're going to be talking a lot of assessment today, all about developing an assessment tool. Do we have due dates for assessment from Joy? The answer is no, you do not, Joy. You do not. Generally speaking, we don't have due dates. One of the reasons for that is that everyone starts at different times and everyone has different speeds. So it's genuinely a self-paced course. So people start whenever they start and they finish whenever they finish, okay, within reason. There's a 12-month period for your course. So get it all done within 12 months at some stage would be fantastic. There's a question also from Alison. Will you be sharing the slides afterwards, Damien? No, I won't. No, I won't. And the reason, Alison, is that I'm not going to actually use too many slides today. Most of it is going to be live, but I will share the recordings. So you will get those pop up in your course by Wednesday. So you'll have everything you need there. There's not actually that many slides, though. There are a lot of introduction slides, but nothing of real substance. It'll be done live today using screen sharing and going to websites and showing you examples and stuff like that. So we'll be doing all sorts of stuff. What else do we need to assist us today? Predrag, good question. Nothing in particular. Nothing in particular. Today will be much easier if you've done either worked your way through the online training or if you've attended a class, whether it was a face-to-face one or a facilitator-led one. It will make more sense because it will be familiar to you. But if you haven't, even if you haven't done any of those things, I think it's a really good starting point to watch today anyway. And it'll show you the process and you'll be actually making a start. So no, nothing particular. If you've got your computer there, that'd be great. I presume you have, because you're watching this webinar, although you might be using a portable device, but you'll be doing stuff today. So be ready to get those fingers working as we move through the day. Would this class help us with the assessment part of the course? Yes, Jennifer, that's what it's all about. So if you're doing the assessment cluster, as most of you attending today will be doing, then yes, this will definitely help you with that. Also, for those of you doing TAE ASS 502 or the trainer assessor skill set, TAE SS 00015, this will help you. And we may even have some people here from the ERPL upgrade. This won't do any harm today either. How long after completing the assessments will we get sign-off and certificate for the units? Thanks for your question, Elizabeth. Within 5 business days is the answer. So the moment that we give you the final sign-off on your final assessment, you should get your paperwork within 5 days. An email will come to you with a link to download your certificate or statement of attainment, as the case might be. The things that will hold that up is if we don't have a verified USI, or you haven't made all your payments. If we haven't received all the payments, that will hold things up. Otherwise, within 5 business days is the answer. My computer just died, says Ken. Attending on the phone. I'm sorry to hear that. That's not good, Ken. Not good at all. So good to be here. Good to watch. You might not be able to do all the stuff we're going to go through today, Ken, until you get your computer working again. So sorry to hear that, buddy. That's not good. All right, that was a lot of questions, a lot of good questions too. Will we talk about how to conduct the assessments and who to use as the observer? Leanne, the answer was no. I didn't intend to talk about that today, but I'll tell you what, at the end of one of the sessions, at the end of this session, when we get close to, it's due to finish at 11 o'clock, but when I start to wrap up, please pop that question in the chat again, and I'll be happy to address that, but I'll leave that until after we've done all the bulk of everything else, which is the focus of today. I hope that sounds like a reasonable approach, Leanne. So ask your question again. Okay, we've got through all the questions. All right, awesome. Okay, Leanne, I see what the challenge is there. So I will be happy to address that later and give you ideas too. How long does it take to do RPL? Oh, that is the toughest question of all time, Predrag. If you're talking about getting RPL for some of the units, the amount of evidence you need to present to us is equivalent to what you do if you attend the classes or do it as an online student. So if you've got all the evidence already for all the things that we're going to be doing during a cluster, then RPL might be a great option for you. If not, it's probably not a good option. RPL can be relatively quick for good candidates who've already got all the stuff that they need and really shouldn't be doing the units because they already know everything and they've got lots of experience. But if that's not the case, RPL often isn't achievable at all, and it can be a waste of time. And then you get the in-betweens where you need a lot of guidance to collect the right evidence, and it takes forever and can be very frustrating for everyone, particularly for the candidates if they're not a great match for RPL. If in doubt, might be a good idea to just give our learning leaders a call and have a chat with somebody about it. Okay. Hope that helps you. All right, we've gone past our start time. It's great to see so many people here. We've got 40 people here. So Alison, Amelia, Barbara, Beth, Brendan, Brenton, Brett, Carolyn, Kathy, Claire, Daniel, Demi, Don, Doy, Elizabeth, Gillian, Gabinda. Good to see you here. Gobin, Guy, Alona, Asatu, Janet, Joy, Julia, Carr, Karen, Ken, Leanne, Linda, Melanie, Michelle, Nicholas, Predrag, Rodney, Simone, Suzanne, Jennifer, Tammy, Tanya, and Tracy. Great to see you here, guys. Thanks for coming along today. And we've got a really big group because out of all the parts of the certificate 4, designing assessment tools is the thing that takes a lot of time. So if you've started designing assessment tools already, you're going, wow, Damien, this seems to take a long time. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Especially when it's your first and maybe second one. You've got your L plates on, okay? By the time you get to your third one or your fifth one, because in some of the courses you've got to do 5, by the time you get to your fifth one, you're laughing. You'll get through it much faster. You'll understand what's going on. Now, today I'll give you lots of advice. Today is basically a brain dump about how to do this, okay? And I will just throw in pearls and ideas as we go through to help you. So I've got tip number 1 for you right now. And tip number 1 is when you're designing your assessment tools, they do take a huge amount of effort. It's really, really clever to finish the first one, finish everything, and then submit it to us for feedback. Sometimes students think it's a good idea to do them all and do all 5 and then submit them all at once. It is like a really bad idea. I see absolutely zero benefit in that. So when you finish your first one, submit it to us for feedback, because that feedback will guide you and help you to improve it to a standard and make sure you haven't missed anything so that it's ready and it's perfect. Okay. That will then allow you to do the second one much more confidently, because we'll have picked up on little errors and things that you might have missed in your first one, because they're such big assessments. So submit them all one at a time is really, really clever. Now, what I'm going to do, thanks, Predrag, no problems. What we're going to do is I'm going to lead you through a series of introduction slides, okay, for the day. And so let's start doing that. But first, I wanted to get the mood right today. We want to have a certain mood. We don't want to be too serious today. We're going to be doing serious stuff. There's no doubt about that. But I want to set the mood, and so I want to get the brains thinking as well. So we've got the very worst dad jokes ever. These are the very worst. These are brand new ones. You wouldn't have seen these from Mr. Webb before. What do a tick and the Eiffel Tower have in common? They are both. If you know the answer, pop it in the chat. Thanks, Predrag. Good to have you back. If you know the answer, pop it in the chat. If you think you know the answer, if you want to have a guess, pop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm not going to terrorize you for too long here, because I know you don't want to know the answer. A shape corner. No. Good try, though, Doi. Good try. The answer is they are both parasites. Parasites. Tick and the Eiffel Tower. Have a think about it. Yeah. We're learning some stuff today, Rodney. There's no doubt about that. Got a laugh out of Julia. Good stuff, Julia. What did baby corn say to mama corn? This one's maybe a bit more obvious. What did baby corn say to mama corn? Leanne can see why I'm calling them dad jokes. These are the very worst. Okay. Yay, Janet, got it. Where's popcorn? Hey, Janet, winner. Where is daddy? Oh, very good. Very good, Jennifer. All right, third one's my favorite. A factory that makes okay products should be called a... This one actually ties in with the course content. This one ties in with the course content. We got a couple of winners, Jillian and Tanya. It's a satisfactory. I'm amusing myself. I hope you found those just a little bit funny. All right, cool. Let's move forward with more serious things. Welcome. Thank you for deciding to attend this support session today, guys. We've designed this series of webinars to help you confidently complete designing an assessment tool today. I really expect you to have one knocked out, smashed out, done, finished by 5 o'clock this afternoon. That's for people who are in the eastern seaboard of Australia. If you're in Perth, you've got till 7 o'clock. Okay. Actually, no, you don't. You've got till 3 o'clock. If you're in Auckland, you've got till 7 o'clock. Okay. All right. Between the webinars, you'll have time to continue the development of your assessment tool. So we'll be doing some of it during the sessions. Okay. I'll give you a chance to actually work on it during these sessions while I'm teaching you what we need to do. We'll kind of be doing a lot of it together, which is going to be great. We're going to try and make it as easy as possible. I'll be showing you examples to help you. Basically, you'll do a lot of it during the sessions, but you won't finish it all during these sessions. Between the sessions, there'll be bits to do, especially later in the afternoon, because by later in the afternoon, you'll all have bits to do. Okay, people will, a lot of it won't be introduced until the end of the third webinar, and then you'll be away and racing. But I expect by 5 o'clock, for those of you in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, ACT, Tasmania, you'll be done by 5 o'clock and you'll be able to submit a complete assessment tool to us and have a degree of confidence that we're going to like what we see. If you have any problems with the Zoom today, you can check your audio settings on the Zoom controls. You can notify us in the chat and say, Damien, I can't hear you. And if 10 other people then say, we can't hear him either, then you know that it's a problem at my end. Log out, then log in using the same credentials often solves technical problems if you're having difficulties. You can call Mr. Wed, say, I can't see Damien, it's not working, I can't get into the webinar. One of our team members will endeavor to help you. And what's your email as well is the other possibility. Okay. Now, I've titled this next slide as a poll, but we're not running a poll as such. I want you to just pop your answer in the chat. How confident are you feeling about being able to finish designing an assessment tool today? Do you feel super confident or not? Tell us what you think in the chat. Are you ready to go? Okay, we've got a couple of hopefuls to lead us off. A semi-confident, feel okay, a no, that's appreciated. Okay, 85%. That's very scientific sounding, Kathy. Mostly depends how we go. So, semi-confident. Okay. This is kind of what I expected. That's a good answer. So, right. This is kind of what I expected. Guys, I want you to have a lot of confidence. We are going to get this done today. Okay. You've started to hope to finish today. That's good, Alona. All right, cool. Hopefully, but need to. That's an interesting answer, Linda, because I think a lot of people here probably feel that way. You're hopeful you'll get this done today, but you really need to figure this out. And regrettably, to finish the assessment cluster or TAE ASS 502 or whatever you're doing, you do need to get these done. So today, we'll hopefully get that done for you. And I am happy, or not happy, I'm sad to send a sad face to Ken, because Ken, I'm sorry that your computer is not behaving and broken. That's not good. But you'll be able to rip into it once you get your computer back. All right. So the Zoom controls, they look a little bit different to that depending upon what software you've got, but you should have everything you need. The chat button is the important one. We got a big bunch of people here at Mr. Wed to support you. We're all here to help you. They're smiley, friendly people, I promise. As for me, I'm hiding there in the background, and I'll be helping you through today, and I'm looking forward to it. If you need any help, there's multiple ways you can contact us, but one of the most obvious ways is to call us 1-800-2 and then the letters for TRAIN. That's 1-800-287-246. We're here 8:30 to 4:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time each day. And we're ready to help you. So if you've got questions, ring us. If you get stuck, ring us or send us a message. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about who's here in the audience today. Now, you'll be doing different courses, but this will still work for you regardless of what course you're doing, okay, if it's one of these. Many of you are doing TAE 40116, the certificate 4. You're starting from scratch. You've probably got 4 clusters to do, okay? If you're doing the ASS cluster, today is your day, Okay, this is perfectly pitched to help you. Alternatively, you might be somebody who already obtained TAE 40110, the previous certificate for in training assessment, and maybe you're doing TAE LLN 411, maybe you're doing TAE ASS 502, maybe you're doing the ERPL upgrade to TAE 40116. It won't help you today with the TAE LLN 411 at all, okay? But it will help you with TAE ASS 502. Absolutely right in the ballpark, help you with several of the assessments you need to do. It may also give you some guidance to ERPL upgrade as well for those who are doing tasks 3, 4, or 5 of that one. There's really good training materials and videos in that course. We shot a video just a couple of weeks ago to help you there. But if you like interacting live and seeing things live, then that's fine. The ERPL upgrade students are very welcome here today. The other people who are here today who this might provide some value to are folks who are doing the skill set. Now, only a small percentage of our students do this skill set, TAE SS 00015. But if you're doing that skill set, this is relevant to you today as well. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pop in the chat, please, which course you're doing today that you think this is relevant to. So I'm expecting a lot of ASS cluster. I'm expecting quite a few TAE ASS 502. I'm expecting maybe 1 or 2 TAE SS 00015. Break it down, be very specific which one you're doing. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of ASS clusters straight away. Tanya, you wrote TAE 40116. I presume that it's the AS cluster part of that you need to do that's relevant to this. So that's all good. Upgrade for Tanya, that's fine. I'm seeing AS502s come through. All right, cool, good stuff. The most important thing that I want to ask, is there anyone who's not sure if you should be here or not? If you're not sure if you should be here or not, pop a query in the chat right now and we'll get that sorted. So if that doesn't sound right to you, what I've said, and you're only doing other parts, other courses, except not the ones in red, or potentially the ERPL upgrade. If you're not doing one of those, then that makes me nervous. I want to make sure that you're in the right house. Okay. Not seeing any questions yet, but if you're unsure, pop a message in the chat. We will help you. All right. Now, are you aware that there's a new TAE 40122 qualification? So TAE 40116 is being phased out. There is a new TAE 40122. Okay, I'm seeing lots of yeses, but I'm also seeing at least a couple of no's. Okay, so let me talk about this because it's obviously really important to what you guys are doing. Okay, vaguely, Kathy. Well, there is Kathy. You can take away the vaguely because it's definitely a yes. Okay, so what's happened is in December last year, December just a few months ago, there was a new version of the training package endorsed. There is now a TAE 40122. Now, I'll cut to the chase and tell you what you need to know first up. Okay, what you need to know first up is it doesn't matter whether you're doing TAE 40116 from scratch or whether you're doing an upgrade to TAE 40116 or whether you're doing TAE ASS 502 and TAE LLN 411 or just one of those units as standalones or doing them with the upgrade or whatever. Whatever you're enrolled in, do not stop. Keep going. That's the thing you need to know. The reason why I say that is TAE 40122 is very different. Okay. Now, at some stage, we will provide an option to update from TAE 40116 to TAE 40122, but we're not getting many phone calls about it, and people are aware that it's not an easy upgrade as such. In fact, I wouldn't even call it an upgrade. It'll be a bit of a messy one thing, okay, because the structure of the two qualifications is very different, okay? If you've got a current enrollment with us, and you have because you're here, keep going with what you're doing because that will satisfy the national standards for working in RTOs. It will be highly valued in the industry for many years to come. I feel very good that you're doing the right thing to the extent where we're still getting people enrolling in the old qualification as well while they can, because that will be stopping enrollments sometime down the track, not too far away. Okay. So if you're already enrolled, doesn't matter what you're doing,
keep working on it, keep doing it. Okay, don't stop halfway through or quarter of the way through or 3/4 of the way through, anything like that. Keep doing what you're doing because the new qualification is quite different. It's 12 units instead of 10. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll take longer to do though, and it's structured quite differently as well. Okay, so keep doing what you're doing is what you need to know. But yes, there is a new qualification out there, but don't get stressed about that. Okay, there's no compelling reason why people need to do the new one or update to that new one at this stage. Okay. And I don't think there will be for a significant period of time either. Okay. Now, does anyone want to ask a question about that at all? If you have a question, pop it in the chat. And if you want to have it, if you like only just enrolled with us and you're thinking, well, should I keep going or not? I've only just enrolled a few weeks ago or something like that. Should I change? Maybe that's a phone call worth having with our staff. But if you've been enrolled in the qualification for a while, and especially if you've been doing work for a while, then don't ring us, just keep going, is my advice. What are the units or the new units and how is it structured differently? In a nutshell, it's 12 units instead of 10. Okay. And there's different units. There's different units in there that aren't in the current one. It's structured very differently. So it's a set of skill sets that are stackable on top of each other, which is really clever. So for people new to the industry, that's probably good news. Yeah, and apart from that, lots of detail. Now, you can go to our website and see all the information. And to answer your question, Jennifer, are we providing this qualification? Yes, we are. We started enrollments in it like last week. Okay. And people will start getting access to that training and assessment in May. Okay. So we've got courses starting in May, online students starting in May. We've only just started enrolling, I think it was last week. Okay. So the answer is yes, Jennifer. How hard will it be to upgrade? I don't think it'll be hard, Jennifer, but it will take time. It will take time. So I don't think it's going to be difficult, but I think it's going to take significant time. Okay. And it's interesting because in previous iterations of training packages, I would say get the newest one, get the latest and greatest. I'm not sure that's the advice I've got for people this time, generally speaking, especially people who are already doing this one. The TAE 40116 is going to be a very highly valued qualification for a significant length of time, I expect. Okay. Will you have to upgrade to TAE 40122 or TAE 40128 or something in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Don't know. It depends how the national standards change. But there will be blood on the streets if anyone suggests that people have to upgrade anytime soon from TAE 40116. Okay. Are we offering the upgrade? No, we're not offering an upgrade from TAE 40116 to TAE 40122. Linda, we might at some stage in the future, I suspect. Okay. So there'll be people who want to do it for a variety of reasons, but there's no urgency about it. We're not getting a lot of requests even querying about it because the national standards say that TAE 40116 is terrific. Okay. What I would recommend you consider, however, for those of you who are doing TAE ASS 502 without updating to TAE 40116, okay? So I'm talking to the folks here who previously had TAE 40110 and you're maintaining your compliance effectively as a qualified trainer and assessor by getting TAE ASS 502 and or TAE LLN 411. If you're not doing the update to actually get TAE 40116, I would recommend you give that very serious thought. That's my advice. Okay. So you can pop on our website and read about it or give us a call at Mr. Wed and talk with us or drop us an email. We'll give you information about that. Okay. All right. From past experience, when do I think ASQA will expect trainers to upgrade? Amelia's asked. Amelia, the national standards are currently being revised. I expect them to be re-released later this year. Okay, between maybe September and December is my best guess. Okay. Amelia, my expectation is that when those national standards are revised, they will say that TAE 40116 is perfect and there's no need to get TAE 40122. That's what I expect to hear. That's what I hope to hear. At Mr. Wed, we hope for that. Some of you might say, why would Mr. Wed do that? Don't you want everyone to have to do upgrades and make more money? No, we want to see the right thing done in the industry, and we don't think people should have to do extra study at this stage to maintain their training and assess their qualifications and expertise once they've got TAE 40116. I think those of you who are relying upon TAE 40110 plus TAE LLN 411 plus TAE ASS 502 are likely to get caught short at a quicker time frame, but we're crystal ball gazing. When those national standards are released, we'll know more information, but I wouldn't be stressed at all. If you're in the middle of studying for TAE 40116, I would keep driving ahead confidently with that. All right. All right. I hope I've provided good answers to your questions there, folks. I can't see anything different at this stage. Why is it so different, Janet? Because the people who created TAE 40122 decided it needed to be quite different is the short answer. Elizabeth asks, so I have TAE 40110 and doing this to assessment unit to TAE 40116. Will I be right or will I need more? Elizabeth, just give us a call in the office and have a chat with the office staff. Okay, I'm not sure of the specifics of your situation off the top of my head, but if you're doing the upgrade from TAE 40116, if you're doing the upgrade component to actually get TAE 40116, you're in perfect shape. But if you're just doing TAE ASS 502 and or TAE LLN 411, then you might want to contact our office and have a chat with one of our staff and say, should I be doing the extra upgrade component? If it was me, it's a yes. It's a definite yes from me at this stage. But everyone's circumstances are different as well. So give us a call and have a chat with our staff, I'd suggest. I hope I'm not trying to evade an answer for you, but I'm trying not to go down a 3-minute path of asking you more specific questions. All right. Okay, folks. This might seem obvious to 95% of you because you've already logged into Mr. Wed Online, but there might be someone here today who's brand new and never done it. So if you've never logged into Mr. Wed Online, you look for an email that comes to you saying complete your registration. When you click the button to do that, you choose your password. And then after you've chosen the password, each time you log in, you go to that website address on the screen, https://mrwed.instructure.com. Okay, I'm glad you think you're right, Elizabeth. That's good news. Put in your email, put in your password, log in. If you can't remember your password, click the forgot password button and you should get an email with it within a few minutes. If you have problems logging in, difficulties, just call us. Call us live. Don't even send us a message. Just call Mr. Wed. Anyone can help you get sorted. Okay. If you have questions during your studies, we just want to reiterate that we are here to help. So you can call us on the phone number we've already given us, or you can email us at submit@mrwed.edu.au. Or probably the best way is if you've already started a task and flipping feedback forward and backwards with the Mr. Wed staff, then just reply to the feedback and send us a feedback comment. Say, hope this makes sense, or I have a question, or I'm not sure about something. Just write us a little comment as you make a submission, or even, without a submission because you're not sure what to do, send us a comment. And that's the quickest way to get help is those feedback comments. But emailing us will get you help quickly, and so will ringing us as well. All right. So here's the rundown for today. It's your to-do list for today. If you want to finish your assessment tool today, this is what we're going to be doing. So during session 1, during this session right now, and we're scheduled to go for another hour and a half, during this current session, we're going to complete an assessment plan. That's the goal. Okay. And you might say, Damon, can we get it all done in an hour and a half? Well, maybe, maybe not. But what you want to do is after this session, you want to go and finish it before we start session 2. Okay. So anything that's incomplete from this session, go and complete it. Try and knock it over before we start session 2. You'll have 1 hour break to do that. After session 2, you then want to complete your assessment mapping. Okay. Now, there's something I want to say here, which is relevant only to the ERPL upgrade students. For those of you who are doing the ERPL upgrade to TAE 40116 course, but who are not doing TAE ASS 502. Okay. So if you're doing TAE, if you're doing the ERPL upgrade, to TAE 40116. That's the name of one of your courses on Mr. Wed online. But you are not doing TAE ASS 502. If you're one of those people, don't come to session 2 today. Okay, because our ERPL upgrade course does not require detailed assessment mapping. So you can skip session 2 if you're doing the ERPL upgrade, but not doing TAE ASS 502. Okay, skip session 2 today because you won't need to do that detailed mapping as part of that ERPL upgrade course. Otherwise, everyone's all in on that one. And we'll be going through the mapping, and I'll be asking you to finish that mapping before we come back for session 3. Okay. Then in session 3, I will show you how to do the assessment instruments. And then by the end of that, you'll be able to finish them off, okay, and submit a complete assessment tool to us this afternoon. Now, people often get confused by some of the language I'm using, so I want to clarify it. I'll talk about assessment tools and assessment instruments today. Talk about other stuff as well. Assessment tools and assessment instruments are different things, okay? Assessment instruments are what we use when we assess people. So it might be the written test. It might be the direct observation checklist. It might be the third-party review. Okay, those things, that paperwork that we use when we assess somebody are called an assessment instrument. Now, typically, when we're assessing people for a unit of competency, we will use a certain number of assessment instruments. Now, this is a test. I want to see if you know the answer. How many assessment instruments does Mr. Wed normally recommend when you're assessing a unit of competency? Look at all the clever people. They're the really smart people who've done a course with us and who remember very, very well. 3 is the answer. Don, I don't know why you put 3.1, Don. You've confused me a bit there. It might be a bit for me. That's fine. Yeah, 3 is the answer, guys. So whenever you're creating an assessment tool for a unit of competency, use 3 different assessment methods and 3 assessment instruments. Okay. So we'll talk about that. So we will show you how to complete your 3 assessment instruments during session 3. And then I'll be asking you after session 3 to go and finish the whole enchilada. Now, the whole enchilada, the whole thing, the assessment plan plus the mapping plus your 3 instruments, that's 5 documents in total. That's an assessment tool. Okay. So what we want to do today is we want to submit 1 assessment tool, but that 1 assessment tool consists of 5 assessment documents: the assessment plan, the mapping, and the 3 instruments. Okay. So the instruments, what we use when we assess. The assessment tool is the whole thing combined, all 5 documents. Can you please tell me in the chat, does this make sense? Does what I say have been talking about this last couple of minutes make sense to you? Okay, getting a bunches of yeses and yups and stuff. Okay, great. All right. Nice. Thank you, Claire, for your innovative thumbs up, and Predrag for your sure. Perfect. Like a bit of variety. All right, that's good. So today we're going to do everything we need to know so you can submit an assessment tool. Now, to give this some context for you, okay, for those of you who are doing the ASS cluster as part of TAE 40116 studies, you develop assessment tools 5 times. 5. So you'll do everything on that screen once, a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. You'll do it 5 times. Okay. The last 2 times are for an RPL context. Okay. Don't worry too much about that at the moment. It's not that different. It's not harder. You'll do 3 for training assessment and 2 for RPLs. Okay. But you'll do this process 5 times. Now, it takes quite a long time to do 1 assessment tool. Okay. The relevant assessments in the ASS cluster are assessments 10 to 14. You're going to learn today how to do assessments 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. They are the assessment 10 is historically the most time-consuming assessment in the whole of the Cert 4. It is a monster assessment 10. Okay. Now, if you haven't started doing an assessment tool yet, okay, then if you're doing the ASS cluster, assessment 10 is your baby today. That's where you're going to be doing it and submitting it. Okay. If you've already started one, you might want to leave that one, call that one assessment 10, and then today's will be assessment 11. Okay. And that's fine too. Okay. For those of you who are doing doing TAE ASS 502, okay, you lucky ducks only have to do 3 assessment tools. Okay. And from memory, they are assessments 4, 5, and 6, I think. Assessments 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So when you start going and looking to download the templates we're going to be talking about today, if you're doing ASS cluster, you can get them from assessment 10. If you're doing TAE ASS 502, you can get it from assessment 4. Now, I'm going to say that one more time because you might want to jot that down. If you're doing the ASS cluster, assessment 10 is where you go and get the templates. If you're doing TAE ASS 502, assessment 4 is where you will be able to get the templates that we're going to be using. Okay. If you're doing TAE SS 5, TAE SS 00015, and I did see at least one person in the chat who's doing that one. I can't remember the number. Just go look for assessment that the title is Assessment Tool 1. Okay. It'll be the assessment titled Assessment Tool 1. Okay. That doesn't mean assessment 1. Assessment 1 will be a knowledge test. But if you look through the titles, one of them will say Assessment Tool 1. That's the relevant assessment where you'll be able to get the templates we're going to use today. Is it okay to do the session without attending the face-to-face sessions for the ASS cluster? Jennifer, nice question. The answer is definitely yes. You're in the right place. This is great. We're going to have students here today who've already been to a class, okay, either face-to-face or facilitator-led through Zoom. And we're also going to have students here today who are doing this as online students who aren't attending any classes at all. You're all welcome, and it's equally valuable for all of you. Okay, not a problem at all. Can I do it as assessment tool 2? You absolutely can, Jennifer. If you've already started assessment tool 1 or you've got resubmissions or whatever, then do assessment tool 2. That's perfect. I'm confused. Where do I get the templates from? Are they in my login? Yes, Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, when you log into Mr. Wet Online, go into the relevant course, whether it's ASS cluster or TAE ASS 502, okay? Go into the relevant course, click on modules, okay? Click on modules over on the left-hand side, scroll all the way down to the assessments, okay? And then look for assessment. Well, you've just written, you're doing 502. You'll look for assessment number 4, okay? So if it's TAE ASS 502 you're doing, you want to scroll all the way down through the modules, go to assessment number 4, and there's a line in the instructions that says something like, click here to download your templates. Okay. Click here to download the documents you need for this assessment or something like that. Click on that, and then you'll be able to download them from there. Okay. All right. So folks, this is what I'm going to ask you to do right now before we go any further. I'm going to ask you to download one of the templates, just one of them. Okay. So some of you won't be able to do this because it'll be too hard, too awkward, too difficult watching the webinar and doing stuff at the same time. You might just watch this and then smash out the assessment plan straight afterwards. But otherwise, especially if you've got 2 monitors, I would be diving in and downloading this baby right now. So the document I want you to download, I'm going to pop it in the chat in with capitals. The document I want you to go and download for the relevant assessment is the assessment plan. That's the one we're going to be working on during this session right now. So if you're in ASS cluster, go to assessment 10. If you're in TAE ASS 502, go to assessment 4 and go and find the assessment plan. Read the instructions, look for a link that says, click here to download your templates or something like that. Open it up and then you'll find it. Can't find assessment 10. That's okay, Linda. We can help because I'm going to show you this live as well. But I want to give people a head start for those who can find it quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Okay, And now I'm going to go into the courses. I'm going to go to one of the AS Cluster courses. Okay, now my screen looks a bit different to you guys, but don't be bothered about that. Okay. Then you click on modules over on the left-hand side. And then if you click these little triangles next to the headings, they're pretty clever because they open and close things. In either case, we're going to scroll all the way down to the assessments. And for the ASS cluster, it's assessment 10. Okay, remember for the TAE ASS 502 course, it's assessment 4. But it's called Assessment Tool 1. Click on that heading. That will then open the instructions. And the line of relevance is this one, not too far down, says in capital, says, please click here to access templates needed to complete Assessment Tool 1. So you click on that, and then it shows you the page where you download all the templates we're going to be using today. Okay. The one you want to download is the assessment plan. So by clicking that little downwards facing arrow, it will then give me a chance to save it. Okay, so click that little arrow, it will save to your computer, and then you'll be ready to go. Okay, Asatu, you've popped in the chat. I need to do ASS Learning Activity 4 Example Assessment Tool. Can I use the Assessment 10 tool for this activity, or do I have to do a different one? You'd be wise to do a different one, Asatu. Don't get those two married at all. Keep them separate. What I would suggest to Asatu is if you're having problems, if you don't have access to an assessment tool, okay, pop a message to Mr. Wed and we'll show you where to get one. In fact, just quickly, just for you, Asatu, what you do is you go to Home. Then you scroll down to these big graphics. You click on Book of Readings. And then you scroll down and you'll see sample assessment instruments and tools here. Okay, that one there is one that helps you with Learning Activity 4. You can use that one there. The assessment tool example for BSB WHS 201. Okay, so if you can follow through that, that'll work. Linda, you've written, I have a different version. Linda, can you just clarify that for me, please, what you mean by that? Thanks, Asatu. Happy to help you out. For those of you who are still downloading your assessments, you go to Assessment 10. Click on this line here. Please click here to access templates. Little arrow downloads it onto your computer. I don't have any numbers, says Linda. Linda, what I want you to do is up the top of your page, see where it's got written there, ASS Cluster ONL 120. It's got the course name. Could you please just pop in the chat what course you're looking at the moment? So I can see that. Pop the course name in there so I can see what course we're talking about. By the way, guys, if yours says F2F instead of on the ONL, that's okay. Okay, so you're in the same course I am, Linda. I don't understand your question. I'm sorry, Linda. You say you've got a different version. You don't have any numbers. I'm a bit lost for context. What you're trying to explain to me, please. You're in the right course. You're in the same course. I just don't understand what it is that you want help with. While Linda formulates an answer to that, if everybody else wants to tell me whether you've been able to download that assessment plan yet, pop a yes in the chat if you've already downloaded that assessment plan and you're ready to go move forward. Okay, thank you. Good stuff. Excellent. And if you're having problems, pop it in the chat. Linda, I see your thing coming. When you showed 10, etc., I don't have those numbers. All right, well, go back to the modules. Okay, so I'm wondering, Linda, if you're looking through the Restart Essentials or perhaps the online training section where it doesn't have number. You've got to scroll right down all the way through all this stuff to get to the assessments. They're right at the bottom of the screen. Then you look for assessment 10. Okay, you're in pre-start essentials, so you need to go further down the screen, Linda. All the way down to the assessments. Yeah, Kathy. Yeah, Linda was put up top of the page. Thank you. Okay, Linda's written okay. Linda, if you found it now, pop a yes in so I feel good. Excellent. Thank you. Awesome. Are there any other questions, folks, before we move on? And Kathy, I love that you jump in and offer some help there. That's the team spirit we like to foster here at Mr. Wed. What number is number 10? Assessment 10, Linda. Okay. Folks, I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm hoping that you've all been able to download that assessment plan. You're struggling to find assessment 10. Keep scrolling down through the assessments, Elizabeth. They should be numbered. They should look like what we got on the screen. Okay. Linda's thanking everyone too. You know, I feel a group hug coming on. This is good. Okay. Folks, let's move forward. Linda, I hope you find it very soon. I really do. I will need to stop that share and start my PowerPoint share again. I have. Okay, so I think I have means you found it, Linda. Is that correct? You're all sorted? I hope so. You all sorted now, Linda? Pop a yes in the chat for us if you are. Yes, excellent. Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, so what's next? What's next is I'm going to start screen sharing, and that's going to be the end of the PowerPoints pretty much for the day. Okay, unless you start begging me, saying, Damien, we need more dad jokes later in the day. If you really need them, beg, okay? You never know what I'm capable of. Some of you thinking, Damien, no, please spare us. And that would be fair too. So let's get stuck in. And what I'm going to do first off is we're not going to start with the assessment plan template because there's something I need to show you first, which is using TGA. So I'm going to show you how to use TGA, and then we're going to go through creating an assessment plan. Okay. All right. So let's get stuck in Indeed. I'm going to share that screen that we were at before again. And we're going to quickly detour over to training.gov.au. Oh, yeah, Amelia, you just want stand up. No, Amelia, I need to be more prepared than that. Trust me, it'll go badly. Okay. I think so. Yeah, you can laugh. You're not the one who's going to be laughed at if I muck them all up and they all sound horrible. Training.gov.au. Now, Damien, why are you taking us to this strange place? Well, the reason we're going to training.gov.au is because in the instructions for your assessment tools, it always says use a unit of competency. Okay. Use a unit of competency. Well, units of competency live in this special place called training.gov.au. So this is where we go and find them. Okay. So you go to training.gov.au. Now, depending upon your, whether you've been there before, recently ticked boxes, whatever, sometimes this home screen doesn't look like this. Sometimes it looks a little bit different. Yeah, it's not going to let me change it. If it does, just tell it you want to go to the National Register, because that's what we want, the National Register. Now, when you go to the National Register, there's an old version and a new version of this page. Oh, sorry, I didn't invent this thing. Okay. The previous version looks like this. Okay. The new version looks like the one I just showed you. You know what? I liked the old version. I still think I like the old version better, but the new version is fine too. Okay. Melanie, it looks like you're in the middle of asking me a question, so keep asking away. I'll keep an eye on it. What we want to do is we want to search for nationally recognized training. Okay. And the way we do that is you probably won't know a code or a title, but you just might have some keywords. So you might search, for example, for manual handling. Okay. Now, here's a tip for you. You do not want to include superseded data or deleted data. Uncheck them. You want current data. Okay. So uncheck those buttons and hit search. And it will then show you 4 results for units of competency. That's what we want, are units of competency. Okay, Melanie, you lost the internet connection. You've missed the last few minutes. I'm sorry, Melanie. Hopefully you downloaded your assessment plan. Okay. If you downloaded your assessment plan, we really haven't moved on too far, except to talk about how to access a unit of COMPSI, which is what we're doing right now. Okay. All right. Yes, you got the assessment plan. You're good. So to access one of these units of COMPSI, I like that it says current. Look for one that says current. Current in green is great. Anything in red or orange is evil. Do not touch it. You always want to work with current units of COMPSI. If you choose a unit that's not current, we'll probably ask you to do it again. You don't want to do that again. You don't want to do all this again. Okay. So choose a green current unit. If you have chosen something that's not current, by the way, and you're halfway through it, I want to give us a call and ask about it. Okay. And say, can I keep using this? Yes or no? And we'll help you. But green current is what you want. Now I was expecting it all to be current because remember we unchecked those boxes from before, which takes away the superseded and deleted data. To access the actual unit of COMPSI, we just click on the code. So carry out manual handling tasks. That sounds interesting. We'll click on that, and that will show us the unit of COMPSI information. Again, at the top, it says current, which is great. Okay. And then if we start scrolling down, it tells us the qualifications it's in, but then it gets the really good stuff. It gives us an application statement, which is a summary of the unit of COMPSI. It gives us the elements and performance criteria. Foundation skills, not much to see here. It's very short and simple. It will then give us links to the companion guide. Okay, and there's questions about companion guides that you'll encounter in your assessments. And then you've got performance evidence, knowledge evidence, assessment conditions. All of this stuff is important. Okay. Now, if you prefer, rather than looking at it on a screen in HTML, you can download the files too in Word or PDF format. I've got a special piece of advice for you, a bit of guidance for you. Because copying all this mapping is going to take a significant time, we will make it as easy as possible. I find it easiest to do it from the Word documents. So if you download the Word documents, the unit of COMPSI and the assessment requirements, then I find that easier than working through this HTML page. I just find it easier to copy and paste. Okay, so these two documents are the ones I would download. Okay, that will give you everything you need. Okay, except the link. You'll need the link at some stage. Okay, for the companion guides. But funnily enough, that you won't spend too much time there anyway. Okay. All right. So download these documents from within the unit of COMPSI. You choose the unit of COMPSI. Now, Jennifer, I noted that you said your page looks different. I'm guessing when you wrote that you were talking about this page because this is the old version of training.gov.au. The new version does exactly the same thing, looks like this. So I'm guessing that's what you're referencing in your chat comment, Jennifer. With this one here, it works exactly the same. Nationally recognized training or RTO organization. We want nationally recognized training, and you put the typing in here. And with this newer version, it'll start giving you options here to choose from. Okay. Or you can just hit search and get the list. Okay. Now this one's found lots and lots of units. Okay. 34 of them, but there's 4 current ones. Okay. And they're the ones you want to use, those 4 current units. See, there's the one we were looking at a moment ago. Carry out manual handling tasks. So whether you use the new one or the old one, it'll get you the same place. Okay. Yes, it was. That's great, Jennifer. Awesome. Okay. Really, that's all I intend to say about navigating training.gov.au. Many of you would have seen this before, either by watching a video in the Mr. Wet online materials or in a classroom situation. Is there any questions anyone has about using training.gov.au to find a unit of COMPSI? Are you all pretty confident you can do that? I suppose that's what we're hunting for here. So if you have any questions, pop it in the chat. I'll have a drink of water to give you a chance to think about that. But if you're all good and you think you've got that covered, then we're great. Elizabeth and Rodney, you're all good. Nice. Nice to hear. We've got 46 people in the room, folks. That means 6 of you joined us since I said hello to everybody earlier. So it just all goes in alphabetical order. So I apologize to those who've come in a little late. And I didn't say hello to you earlier, but it's good to have you here. Amelia, just selecting a UOC, I found that was my biggest barrier picking a unit. I thought was easy, but turned into something harder. Any advice when picking a unit? Amelia, good question. So, Amelia, I was about to say this because I think it's reassuring for people and might have been more helpful for you to hear this at an earlier stage, at some stage. When picking a unit of competency, the main barrier I find is that we expect to find exactly what we want. We expect to find something that looks exactly like what we expected, and we're happy and we're joyous and there's celebrations. I find normally that's not the case, Amelia. And that might have been the challenge you found as well, is you just didn't find something that looked exactly like what you expected. My advice to you is be like a tree. We are trees and we can bend. Okay. We need to be flexible. So you might be expecting a certain result or expecting a certain thing. You don't get exactly that. You get something that's slightly tangential to it or in the area you're interested in or whatever. Use that. Okay. Don't expect to find something exactly that's going to, fulfill a task or an expectation of what the unit of competency would look like. Okay. Be flexible. I also find that doing general searches is very helpful. So, for example, if I was let me go back to the, let me pop back to the old one. So I think most of you will probably use the old one. Let's get rid of that deleted data. Bad things happen if we leave those boxes ticked. So, for example, let's say I'm working as a nurse and let's say I'm looking for something that deals with blood types because my passion is blood types. Okay. And I look for something that is related to blood type. I get nothing. 0. Okay. And don't panic. You just modify the search. Let's just look for something with blood. Okay, now what units of competency? So I'm going to untick all these other boxes. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Let's just search. Now, all of a sudden, I've got lots of units. I've got 11 of them that deal with blood. Okay. I've got collect blood samples for racing animal drug testing. Who'd have thought there'd be a unit of competency for that? Okay. You got process blood. Okay. Test blood pressure and advise on self-monitoring. So you've got all these units, some of which will not necessarily focus on blood types, but they'll have things that are relevant to you, that are relevant to your area. So I'm hoping that helps you out. Amelia, was that helpful? If you just give us a yes or a no in the chat, that'd be good. Otherwise, that's my best advice. Alona, are we all working on this competency today? We will be. I'm going to give you an option soon to work on your own competency or one that I will show you, but it's not this one. Okay. Lauren, I used BSB units that reflected processes I was familiar with in my workplace. And you've given a couple of examples. Another way to search is to look at the training package details and scroll down to the units of competency in the package to get an idea of options are there. That works too. That works too. Good advice, Lauren. I like it. You get a gold star. First one of the day. Catch it. Don't let it drop. It shatters. Okay, I hope you caught that. I hope you got it. Yeah, nice of you, Amelia. Yeah, Lauren's a legend. Yeah, she's partying. She's got a gold star. Nice work. Good advice, Lauren. Totally like that. So search for training package and then look within there for a unit that's relevant to you. That works too. Okay, Amelia, I hope that was that you said yes, thank you. So that must have been helpful. That's great. Should we start working on? What should we start working on? Well, just relax a second, Padraig. We're going to show you a unit in just a moment. Okay. I will grab my paperwork and I'm going to tell you which unit we're going to start working on right now. And I'm going to do it by popping it in the chat. So this is the unit that I'm going to show you as an example today. Now, you can use this same unit today. Okay, there'll be boundaries as to what I consider cheating. We'll talk about that. I'll ask you to vary some things, make some of your own decisions in parts. Okay, but this is the unit that we're going to use today. And it's SithFab 024. SithFab 024. Now I'm going to search for it here. I'm just going to go back to the main search thing at the start. So you guys can see the process from the start again. Okay, back here. So now I'm going to look for this unit and I'm going to pop the code in. SithFab 024. Okay. Go, you good thing. Find it. And it's found it. Current unit, green, nice. Means it's ready to use. Now, the reason we're using this unit is because I've got a fully completed example for it. But aside from that, the reason we chose that unit is relatively simple. It's got 4 elements. It's got some foundation skills, not a scary long list. Okay, performance evidence, knowledge evidence, assessment conditions. Okay, but it's a relatively straightforward unit. It's about prepare and serve non-alcoholic beverages. Elizabeth, you've made a suggestion what you're going to use. That's fine, Elizabeth. No problem. Do that. Okay, that looks great. Okay, as long as it's green for current, and I believe it is that unit. I've seen that unit before. Go for it. With this unit here, it's current. It's not terribly complicated. This is a very easy unit to understand. Prepare and serve non-alcoholic beverages. You don't need to be the world's most experienced bartender or anything like that. This is nothing to worry about. But what will happen is also really easy to assess people with this unit. So what you want to keep in mind, and this applies only to the people in the ASS cluster, okay? If you're doing TAE ASS 502, what I'm about to say does not apply to you, so you can ignore it. But if you're doing the ASS cluster, you will use the assessment tools you are creating to assess people. That's part of the course. It's coming later, assessments 16 to 20. Okay, so you want to do things that are really easily achievable. It'd be very easy for you to practice assessing somebody on their ability to prepare and serve a non-alcoholic beverage. Can you make a Milo? That's what you might do. You might have a task where you ask people to make a Milo drink. Could you do that? Could you get the ingredients together? A cup, a spoon, Milo, milk. Ta-da! Okay, yes, you could. So choose units that are relatively easy for you to practically assess people as well. Okay, that's a good tip as well. All right. Okay, Ken's found a computer. Can you catch up without holding anyone else up? Yes, you can, Ken, because we haven't really done much yet. I'm explaining stuff mostly. Okay, so you're perfect timing, Ken. Well done. We'll be diving into stuff in just a moment. So this is the unit we're going to use today. Now, what I'm going to do, try and make things a little easier for you too, so I'm going to pop that link in the chat. You might want to open that up. So you've got it as a reference for you today. Just click on the link in the chat. Is it better to use our work area? Jennifer, good question. Yes and no. It's different answers are the best answers for different people. So it's good to use your work area of expertise. Okay. That's great if you've got access to the things you need so that you can assess other people. Okay. I wouldn't, for example, be, if you're a nuclear scientist, Jennifer, or anyone, I wouldn't be doing assessments on nuclear scientists type stuff, even though you've got access to the people, even though you've got access maybe to equipment at work and stuff, unless you're assessing people at work. If you're going to be assessing friends and family members, then they won't be able to get access to your nuclear power plant or whatever it is. Okay, so just think through what's practically going to work best for you. Okay, so if you're going to be assessing friends and family members, choose things where you don't need a lot of equipment, but otherwise choosing things from your work area is terrific. Okay, all right. So that's the unit we're going to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up a document. So I'm going to stop this screen share. And if you bear with me, I'm going to bring up an assessment plan. So earlier on, I suggested you download an assessment plan. You might want to open that up now. Go find it and open it up because we're going to start working our way through it. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting the assessment plan up on my screen. I'll be showing it to you in a moment. And I'm just going to make it bigger. So that's a really good size for you guys to see it. Ooh, that's big. Okay, that's awesome. I know you can't see it just yet, folks. Just bear with me. I haven't shared the screen yet, but I will in a moment. If there's any questions, pop them in the chat. All right, I'm going to share this screen with you now. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you should now be able to see the start of an assessment plan I've put up on screen. Allison's asked, can you recommend any other good, simple areas, assessment areas for friends and family? Allison, I've got two for you. Communications, okay? Because when we do communications, we very rarely use any equipment at all. And everyone can communicate to some extent. So communications is one. The second one is customer service. Very easy to practice role plays in customer service without needing a lot of equipment. So communications and customer service, because everyone has a good concept of either of those areas, which can help your assessments go a bit better. Okay. All right. No worries. Thanks, Alison. Happy to help you out. Okay. So folks, this is the unit of competency all my examples are going to be for today. So you might want to do your assessment plan and everything you do today on this unit of competency as well. If that's the case, then start typing. Okay, if you can see if you've got two screens, or if you can see your assessment plan and do it as we go through the webinar, that's going to be great. But during this second hour, because we're into the second hour now, during this second hour, I'm going to take you through the whole assessment plan. And many of you will be able to follow along and do this as I talk about it and as I lead you through it. Some of you might not. It might be just too hard watching the webinar, seeing what's on the screen, listening to me, doing it yourself at the same time. If that's the case, that's all right. Okay. But otherwise, do it as we work through it. So the unit of competency code is pretty straightforward. We put that in. Unit of competency title, put that in. Don't reword it. Don't change it. Just copy that information. Release status, the release status and release date. We've put them in the wrong places there, haven't we? So the release status is current. The release date is 10th of June, 2022. Apologize for that. We put them in the wrong place. We've had a shocker. And then the link to the unit, which is the same link I've put in the chat a moment ago. Lauren, can you use this for your RPL tool as you've done the first three? Yes, you can, Lauren. Yes, you can. But Lauren, just be aware that when we get later in the day, make sure you're using the RPL templates from assessments 13 and 14. Make sure you're using, no, grab your assessment plan from there as well, because the column headings are different. So download your assessment plan from assessment 13 or 14. You may have already done that already. Okay, if you do that, you're going to be in good shape. Okay, you got them from 14. You're in good shape. That's cool. All right, awesome. So all that information, look, pretty straightforward. It's the same information for everyone. Copy it down, guys. But more important than just copying it down, thinking, we're making progress here. I really want you to understand things today. I really do, because that's going to make it more important to complete all 5 or all 3, whatever the case is for you, of your assessment tools easily. Understanding is ultimately what's really about. And that's what's important when you leave studying with Mr. Wed and go and start doing these things in your work. So understanding is critical at any stage. If I say something and you don't understand why I'm doing something, ask the question, please. Okay, the chat is your friend. Ask whatever questions you need. Otherwise, I'll give people a few more seconds to copy that down. Now, don't get too excited and think we've finished the assessment plan, because this will take up most of the hour. Okay, there's several pages. If you're using a different unit of competency, then get the information from that unit of competency and copy it down there. It'll be different answers, obviously. But otherwise, if you're going to use this unit, it'll be the same answers at this stage. So copy it down. Good to see that you've done that, Jennifer. That's nice. Who else has done? If you've done all that, just pop it done in the chat so I've got an idea of how much progress we're making here. Brilliant. That's awesome. Goben, you're a clever guy. I know you're clever. Rather than type done, you go on the Y for yes. That's simple. 1 letter. That's good, Goben. Love the creativity. I'm going to slide down the page a bit here, guys. If I go too fast. Hey, Damien, you're going too far. Link to unit. Did you just copy the URL link and paste? Yes, I did, Asatu. That's exactly what I did. Does assessment plan 1 in bold need to be removed? Does assessment plan 1 in bold need to be removed? If you're talking about the top here, the answer is no. Ken has asked, where do I find assessment plan 1? Ken, are you doing the ASS cluster? Is that the course of relevance for you? Pop a yes or a no in the chat, please. Is it ASS cluster? No. Is it TAE ASS 502? Yes. Okay. So Ken, what you do is you go to TAE ASS 502, you click on modules on the left-hand side near the top. You go to assessment 4. In assessment 4, you'll see a link to download the templates. Download it from there. Assessment 4. That's where you'll find it, Ken. All right. While Ken's finding that, I'm just going to slide forward a little bit. So the next bit here is the purpose of assessment. Okay. Now, my recommendation, I'm sort of highlighting a bunch of this at the moment. See those, see that I've got some in gray there. The purpose of this assessment is to ensure students have the skills and knowledge to. I recommend you use that exact wording every time for the purpose of assessment. If you do that, you can't go wrong. The purpose of this assessment is to ensure students have the skills and knowledge to, and then you customize it for the unit of competency you're working with. Now, I've given an example there. Don't hesitate to reword that even if you're using the same unit. Okay, you don't have to say prepare and serve non-alcoholic beverages in line with company policies. I'd encourage you to reword that. Okay, but I would keep that first line the same, no matter what unit of competency you're doing, because it just sets you up for success with that answer. The purpose of this assessment is to ensure students have the skills and knowledge to. That is magical wording. Yes, the release date and the release status was back to front, Danielle. Yes, I did note that earlier. You must have missed it. But yes, that's how bad. I had them around in the wrong places. Thank you for asking. So after the purpose of assessment, there's a really important question, the target group to be assessed. So this is where we step back for a second and think, okay, who are we assessing? Now, some of you might say, we're assessing people who want to learn about non-alcoholic beverages. That's true. You might go a step further. You might say, we're going to be assessing people who work in coffee shops and bars where they supply non-alcoholic beverages. That's a better answer. Okay. But neither of those answers are really good enough. We're after something more specific. The example there is a cracking good answer. Okay. So in this case here, we've estimated it's going to be 18 to 35-year-olds, mostly university students. They'll have multicultural backgrounds. They might have some LLN needs because English is a second language for many of them. They might have varying levels of work experience. I want you to put down something like that where you're exploring some issues. Okay. Tell us about that target group, because what that will allow us to do is allow us to make all the decisions we're going to make today in our assessment planning, our mapping, our instruments, to target that group and be most effective to that target group. Lawrence asked, does our target group have to match the person we're going to trial the tool on? The answer is no, Lauren. No, it does not. I'm using people from my workplace, which is not a workplace where we serve non-alcoholic beverages. The answer is no, and you shouldn't, Lauren. Answer that question based upon who you would expect them to typically be. Janet's written, can I write range of experience from school leavers to return to work workers? Yes, you can, Janet. But what I'm going to encourage everyone to do here is have several things that you're targeting. Several things. Can we paste all of that? You can, Jennifer, but I'd like you to change it, please. Just modify it a little bit. Okay. Yep. No worries, Lauren. Okay. So you can copy that down, but reword it. Give it your own spin. It's your assessment plan. The most important thing is that you tell us several different things about the target group. Here we've told them about age. We've told them about LLN. We've told them about where they come from. We tell them that they're mostly university students. Okay. Now, a lot of that is fairly logical for people who are going to be making non-alcoholic beverages, but mix it up a little bit. Janet, sharing what you got, Janet? Janet, that's a great answer. I love it. That's fine. That's great. What is LLN, asks Joy. Good question. Sorry, Joy. LLN is language literacy and numeracy. It means that people with LLN challenges are people who have challenges with reading, writing, oral communication, numeracy, working with numbers, sometimes learning generally. It means they have challenges with reading, writing, and those sorts of issues. That's what LLN is. Apologies that we threw that acronym in without an explanation there. All right, so next up, we have the name of the approved assessors. Who do you think the assessor might be? Who do you think is going to be using this assessment plan to conduct assessments? Anyone want to have a guess? Yes, Jennifer's right. Us, you guys. So my advice to me, is put your name there. Now, we did it differently here. We wrote the Cafe Mr. Wed assessment team because we just try to be a bit funny sometimes. If we ever have Cafe Mr. Wed, that'd make a bit of sense, but just pop your name there. That's all you need to do. Okay. If there are other assessors, you could pop their name there as well. But either a generic description like we've got there or your name will do the trick. Now, assessment methods and instruments. Okay. Earlier in the day, I asked you a question, how many methods, how many instruments should we choose when we're developing an assessment tool? How many instruments? Pop it in the chat if you know the answer. You probably haven't forgotten. Oh, Amelia, that's a big number, 33. I think you got a bit crazy with the threes there, Amelia. Yep, all good. Yep. Amelia's gone, oops, only one, as in one number 3, not 1. Yeah, 3. 2.9. Oh, Don, you're killing me. Okay, that wasn't an accident earlier. You are funny, friend. So we choose 3. Now, when you look at the assessment plan, it'll actually have 5 methods written there. Okay. You don't have to delete the lines like we've done this example, but we've chosen 3. So we put X's in 3 of the boxes. And then next to it, we've put an instrument name. We've created an instrument name. Now, the instrument name can, funnily enough, be the same as the method name. So if you put direct observation there, we would mark that right. If you put questioning there, we would mark that right. But you don't have to. You got freedom. Just put a short, simple explanation of what the method should be. Now, if you're going to be working with me all day in these examples, I do recommend that you choose the same methods because when you're doing these instruments later. So if you're using this unit of competency with me and you're going to be using it with me all day long, I do recommend you choose these same methods. Strong recommendation to help you later in the day. Okay. You can call them something different though. Call them something different. Do I want you to delete the methods that you're not using from a template, Amelia? No, you don't have to do that. We've done it on the slide here, but no, you don't need to do that. Just leave the other 2 sitting there. Interesting question from Demi. What would a team group project be classed as? Usually product-based method, Demi. Usually product-based method because the team is going to create something, going to make something, and that would be the product. Okay. Yep. Classified as opposed to classied. Yeah, I'm with you, Demi. All good. So then we've got an interesting question here, guys. How could candidates support their claim for current competency using your selected assessment methods? Now, what this is about, it's about an RPL context. So if we were going to be doing this in an RPL context, could we use some or all of these methods? And we've written what hopefully will be a fairly classy answer here. We've written the Q&A could be used as a competency conversation. The product base could be a portfolio of things. Observation could be completed by a third party. That's interesting. Okay. So we've written some ideas here on how we could use or modify these methods if it was an RPL situation, if we were assessing somebody who hadn't been trained by us. What I'd like you to do is write an answer similar to that. Predrag has asked, what about a portfolio question? If it was a portfolio, it'd probably be very similar to that second answer. So rather than be a product-based, if it's portfolio, say portfolio could be used in an RPL context to collect examples of their work, something like that. We're actually fairly generous about how we assess this because there's a lot of different ways you can answer this question. Okay. So just take your time, think it through, provide an answer similar to that or different to that. Don't hesitate. About how you could use these 3 methods if it was an RPL situation. Folks, when you're done with that, when you've finished all of that, just pop a done or a yes in the chat so I get an idea where people are at. Okay. I don't expect you to finish that yet. We've got some dones coming through the chat, which is great. Okay, excellent. I'm seeing all the dones, so thank you, folks. I will wait another 30 seconds. I have a feeling that some people will require a little bit of extra time. So just give you a chance to do that. In fact, the next thing I was going to do was actually take our stretch break. So we might do that right now. So we've been at it now for an hour and 20, believe it or not. Haven't got long to go in this session. Will we finish this assessment plan within 40 minutes? I think we're on track. So just take a moment to stand up and stretch a little bit for 45 seconds, folks. Okay. Once you're finished doing that, if you like, you can give yourself a little pat on the back because you're going well so far. Okay. Even both sides. A bit of a stretch. Okay, Jennifer's popped an example answer in here. Okay, it's copied twice by accident. That's what confused me there a bit. And it's lovely. I love it. Good stuff. No need to apologize, Jennifer. All good. Linda's done. Good stuff. All right. Okay. As you work your way back from the stretch break, we are going to continue forward. You're going well, team. Feel as though you're getting things done here? This is the first one. This will take the longest amount of time for you out of all of your assessment tools, this one today. Once you've done it once, you'll be faster and more confident. That's exciting, eh? So next we got the assessment matrix. Okay. So the assessment matrix is where we put X's in the columns of interest to us. So on the left, we've got our elements. And as it says, copied directly from the unit of competency. That's a tip. You copy directly from the unit of competency. So if you go to unit of competency and you look up the elements, you will see that these are the 4 elements. So start typing those in. They're your 4 elements. And then you choose your X's. Now I'm going to ask you to put your, if you're doing this with me on the same unit of competency, I'm going to ask you to put your X's in the same place as I have. There is a reason for that. And I'll explain in a moment. But let's just copy all that down. So just copying involved here, nothing too creative. And then I'm just going to explain it again as to what we're doing here. Yes, that's right, Lauren. Yes, copy. All this is in the Word version. You can copy down that we referenced earlier. So if you copy those Word documents, you go copy, 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 copy. And Lauren's probably already onto that and doing that right now. Gillian, you're getting fast. That's the way. Knock it down. Smash it out. Have a little celebratory drink of water. All right. Most people are done, which is great. If we're using a different unit of competency, just select the same as our assessment methods and instruments. Probably no, Simone, because there might be better fitting ones for your situation for the unit of competency. So I'd say no, go rogue. Okay. Choose the 3 that you think are best for you and for that unit. Okay. And then as we move through the instruments later in the day, it's not going to cause too much drama for you. Okay, it's not going to cause too much drama for you. Demi's asked, can I ask, do we select third party for RPL candidates? It's very typical that it was RPL that we would, okay? But you are not limited in respect to selecting third parties. You can select them for a training and assessment pathway as well. Okay. So all options would be available to you here. That's why it's in the matrix as an option. Okay. Hope that answers your question. Yep. Your complex columns in the template were in different order. Don't worry about that, Janet. Yep, just get them in the right places. That'd be fine. That's cool. Okay. Just a word out for your Learnia colleagues. That's good. I like it. All right. Okay, looks like just about everyone's done. So I just want to reiterate what we've done here because it's really important you understand this. Okay. So we've copied the elements. The reason we copy the elements and don't reword them is because of that validity thing and the technical principles. Okay, I'm going to try and steer away from theory mostly today, but we need to make sure that we assess what we're supposed to be assessing. Now, if we're not mapping against the actual elements, then our whole strategy of validly assessing this unit of competency would fall over straight away. So that's why we put down all the elements and we copy them in. Okay, if there's 3 elements, we put 3. If there's 5, we put 5. You have to put down all the elements and put the names down exactly. Don't get creative there. Okay. Then notice here how we've used only 3 columns. Okay. The 3 columns we've used here are direct observation, questioning, and product-based. Those 3 columns match what we have up here. It's not an accident. It's got to be consistent. So we decided before that we were going to use these 3 methods. So we only use those same 3 columns. Okay. And remember, and I know we've reiterated this a couple of times already today, always use 3 methods, not 1 or 2, because you're under assessing, might not get all the information you need. And you don't want 4 or 5 because that's over assessing. That's creating way too much work unnecessarily for your candidates and for us as assessors as well. So 3 methods is what industry recognizes as being best practice. Can I please go back a bit? Pradag, did you want me to start that explanation again? Basically, the elements, we copy them so that we've got that consistency from the unit of competency so we can see exactly what we're supposed to be assessing. Okay, so that's why we copy them. And we choose the same 3 columns as we chose on the previous page. So on the previous page, we identified we were going to use direct observation, questioning, and product-based methods. So we use those same columns because it needs to match up. We need to have consistency right through all of our documentation. I hope that helped you out, Pradrag. I'm going to move forward. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next questions. Have you identified any opportunities to integrate assessment activities? Okay. Does someone want to have Bash in the chat and tell us what you think integrating assessment activities is? Pop it in the chat if you think you know what that is. What does it mean? Combine, yeah, good. A little bit more info than just the one word though, Claire. What are we combining? I wouldn't say integrating in the training so much, Amelia, but practically that might be what happens. So I accept that. Okay, questioning as you do direct observation. Good answer, Janet. From different units of competency, it might be different units of competency. It doesn't need to be, but it might be, Linda. You're quite correct. As in what time is better to do it? Yes, Jennifer, that factors into the reasons we do this. Conducting multiple assessments at once. For example, verbal knowledge assessment during a practical demonstration. Lauren, that is a legendary answer. That is exactly it. Combining the elements into one instrument, maybe, Michelle, but it's more so combining the different instruments and using them at the same time. The ability to combine all 3 instruments or a combination of 3 at the same time. Yes, Brett, that's it. Yes, Elizabeth, that's it. Yes, Rodney, that's it. All right, good stuff. So you guys, most of you have this all covered already, but integrating assessment activities, I would refer you to Lauren's answer. It is perfect. It's when we're combining multiple assessments at once. We're doing them at the same time. Okay. And the example that Lauren's given there of having a verbal knowledge assessment during a practical demonstration is perfect as well. The example that I like to use is if we're assessing people making cakes. Okay, something true to my heart. Okay, assessing people making cakes. Now, we might have as one of our assessments that they need to bake a cake and show us how to bake a cake. Okay. We might also have another assessment. We're going to ask them questions about ingredients and how to bake cakes and tricky circumstances and health and safety and things like that. There's no reason we can't go out there and get together with them and they get all their ingredients, make all their ingredients, they put it all together, they put the cake in the oven, and then they have to wait half an hour. While they're waiting that half an hour, that's when we could ask them our questions. Okay. So we could kill those two assessments off at the one time. Okay. What's the saying? Kill two birds with one stone. Okay. Not that Mr. Wed sanctifies or recommends any violence to animals. That's not cool. But the saying makes sense. We could do both those assessments at the same time. Now, my personal recommendation is when you do that, don't put the instruments together. Don't try and combine them together. It ends up messy, especially for anyone who has their L plates on, like you guys do. Okay. So my advice is keep the instruments separate, but recognize that you could do them together. Okay. So the question is, have you identified any opportunities to integrate assessment activities? Well, we've gone yes in our sample answer, and you can go yes or no. It doesn't matter. But whatever you decide, you have to have an explanation for it. So we've gone yes. We've written during the direct observation, students will also produce the non-alcoholic beverages. This will be recorded in the instructions. Okay. Because they could be producing the non-alcoholic beverages that we then use as our product-based method. Can you see what we're doing there? So we're observing them doing it, but we also end up with a product that we can assess separately. Okay, that's just being clever. That's saving time. Okay, or we could be asking them questions during the direct observation. Okay, now pop an answer, yes or no, and pop an explanation that makes sense for you. Merging the assessment types. That's right, Rodney. That is it. But merging in terms of time, not necessarily in terms of paperwork, is my recommendation. So keep the paperwork separate, okay? But don't necessarily, don't integrate the paperwork together, but do the assessments at the same time or straight after each other. That can be a real time saver. So please, yes or no, your choice, and write an answer that makes sense to you. Can I check? Are we doing portfolio or product-based methods? You've tipped them both. We are doing product-based method. Yep. So if you're tracking along, presumably with this unit, Tanya, we're doing direct observation, questioning, and product-based method. So thanks for your question. When you say recorded in the instructions, what does that mean? Good question, Jennifer. So Jennifer, what we're going to be doing this afternoon is we are going to be creating the assessment instruments. And when we create those assessment instruments, we'll be writing the instructions for candidates and assessors. So we would record it in the instructions. We would say something like, if it was the direct observation, we would say, please be aware, assessors, that this direct observation will also enable the candidate to create their beverage that we will then use for the product-based method so that they can see it and they understand it. So we record it in the instructions. Okay, excellent. Yes, Tanya. So depending which course and which template people got, the columns are in different orders. Somebody did reference that earlier, so I apologize for that, guys, if that's making things a little bit more complicated for you. All right, we've done a lot of the hard stuff. Let's do some easier stuff. Okay. Now, this next bit here is key personnel and responsibility. I want you to be creative here. Okay. Put down some key personnel and put down their responsibilities. So who could those key personnel be? Well, here with this Mr. Wed example, it was the cafe owner or manager. Okay. The trainer and assessor. We always have trainers and assessors. So let's pop them down. It might be separate people too. and that's all right. We might have admin. We might have a subject matter expert. That's what an SME is, a subject matter expert. We might have our compliance or training manager involved. We could have other supervisors. We could have other managers in the business. Okay. Put down 2 or 3. Put down who they are on the left and what their job is, what their responsibility is on the right. Related to the assessment, remember, everything we're talking about today is all about assessment. We don't care about training today. It's all about the assessment is what we're interested in. So pop down 2 or 3 ideas as to who the key personnel would be and what their responsibilities would be on the right-hand side. I'll give you a little bit more time to do that. SME subject matter expert, Carolyn. Subject matter expert. In this case here, it'd be somebody who's very good at making non-alcoholic beverages. Maybe a barista. No problem. When you're up to date, when you've finished that one, what I'd like you to do is just pop where you are today in the chat. Are you in Lismore? Are you in Adelaide? Are you in Perth? Something different rather than just saying done. Pop where you are in the chat so people can see where you all are. Matraville. Is that in Sydney, Tanya? Matraville? We got people from all over the place. Lacey's Creek, I think that's in outer Sydney as well. Is that right, Simone? Tracy, you're in Yeppoon. I didn't know you're in Yeppoon. I used to live in Yeppoon, Tracy. I lived there for 2 years. Now, I'm going to make Tracy cringe a little bit because for people who don't know where Yeppoon is, the best way to probably describe it is Yeppoon is near your knife and your fork. Your knife, your fork, Yeppoon. Just something to think about. Ingham, nice stuff, Linda. Oh, nice of you to laugh, Tracy. I'm sure you've heard that 5 million times. It is a bad joke. It's a bad dad joke, isn't it, Linda? Bad dad joke. All right. Looks like we are all up to date, which is great. Let's move forward. It's good to see all the interesting places where you live, guys. You're all over the place. Janet, are you in Massachusetts? Is that what you're saying? You're in the US, are you? Wow, cool. Love Massachusetts. Miss it. Got to visit it a couple of times. It was a while back. Place or context for assessment occur. Well, where is the assessment going to occur? Write an answer. At this case here, we were going Cafe Mr. Wed, because that was sort of the scenario we set up from the start. You put your answer in, then workplace standards to be incorporated. Put down some ideas on some of the workplace standards that you need to think about. We've given you a big list of ideas there. Okay. And then materials, resources, any documents needed for assessment. Again, we've given you lots of ideas there. Okay. So pop down some answers for those 3 and that'd be cool. Can the place be online? Yes, it can, Leanne. Could be online. Do we create a workplace or a fake workplace? Up to you, Jennifer. Your call. It could be a real place. Could be a fake place. Up to you. You get to decide. Guys, when you've finished getting answers down for all of those, I've asked a question in the chat for you to answer. So when you've finished all of those, there's a question in the chat for you to answer. Wow, if your answers in the document are as good as your answers in the chat, then we're onto something. Give you another 10 seconds, guys, just to finish that off, hopefully. All right, guys, lots of good answers in the chat that you can study. But let's move forward. So what we've got now is we've got a series of other questions. Again, very generic type questions. You've got lots of flexibility as to how you answer these questions. We want special arrangements. Now, the special arrangements for assessment question exist because we want to give you a chance to give us more information about things that are important without asking you another 7 questions. So what else do you think is important? Pop it in special arrangements. Timelines. How long is it going to take to do the assessments? Okay, that's kind of important. And then legal, organizational, or ethical requirements. Just some legal issues that are related to what you're going to be doing when you're assessing these students. So again, you've got a lot of flexibility as to how you answer these things. So please provide some answers. You've got some examples looking at you on our Mr. Wed slide there on the screen. Elizabeth, I've seen your message too, and I have responded to, and I'm waiting for a couple of answers from you in the chat so that I can help you with your question. If you have questions, folks, please ask them. Okay, folks, as you've finished all of that, could you pop a yes in the chat, please? Let me know where you're at. Pop a yes in the chat. Folks, if you're finding you're falling a bit behind on some of these sections, don't panic, okay? Because you'll have time after this webinar. We'll be finishing up in about 10 minutes, and then you've got time to go and finish all of this, okay? All right, folks, we're going to move forward. Okay, and there's only a couple more quick questions on this page. And so we've got reporting arrangements after assessment. What do you do as the assessor to report your results? Okay, what do you do? Do you report your results to your students? Do you report your results to student management system or to higher parties, other people within your organization? Put an answer that makes sense to you. Who is going to approve the assessment plan and put the date on it? Put today's date on it. Put today's date on it right now as if it was approved. Okay. So must have answers for all those final three things there. The reporting arrangements after assessment, who's approving the assessment plan, and put today's date there as well. So that should only take a minute or so. So if you could finish that, that'd be great. All right. When you've done that, folks, please pop a yeehaw in the chat. I don't even know how you spell yeehaw, but can you give me a yeehaw in the chat, please, once you've done that? That'd be great. Gillian, I've read your question. I'm not sure is the answer to your question. I'm not sure. Trust your instincts, Gillian. If it sounds like it would be too hard to keep going down that road that you've started, then maybe change plan. Okay. I don't know if that's necessary though. Trust your instincts, Gillian. You know your industry better than I do, and you'd get a better feel for your assessments than I would. So if it sounds like it's too hard, then it probably is. I hope that's helpful. Okay, we're starting to get some yeehaws. Cowboy hats or cowgirl hats. Not sure which it is. It's a non-specific gender, that cowboy hatted dude. All right, lots of yeehaws and woohoos. Nice. Okay. All right, we've done everything except the contextualization statement. Now, for anyone who's doing the ERPL upgrade, okay, the ERPL upgrade, I don't think you've got this next section in the templates that you use, okay? If you're doing the TIE ASS 502 course, I think it's there. If you're doing ASS cluster, this next section is here. There is a final section to the template. So it won't take us long to work through this. Firstly, there's 4 parts to it. The first part is what information is available from the identified learner group or workplace that would support contextualization of this assessment tool. Okay. I want you, because this will make life much easier for you, I want you to make sure you've got WISER. WISER. Thanks for confirming that it is in 502, Janet and Rodney. Appreciate that. What is WISER? WISER are the ways that we can contextualize assessment tools. So the reasons why we might contextualize an assessment tool are because of the workplace, the industry, the specific students we're going to be assessing, the environment, or regulations. Okay. Environment, another way of thinking of environment is place. Okay. So workplace, industry, students, environment, and other place issues or regulations. Now, what we've got in the example here is we've got workplace, industry, students, environment, and regulations. And then we've given 1 or 2 examples for each of things that are interesting, information that is in the workplace that might give us a reason to contextualize. We're not saying how we're going to contextualize. We're just saying, why might we contextualize? What are some of the unique things about our target group? Once you've done that, then you can answer B, which is actually how you're going to do the contextualization. Okay, so I've got both those answers up on the screen. A is about why we might contextualize or what information might help us to contextualize. B is about how we're going to contextualize. And contextualization is all about how we develop our assessment tools to provide maximum benefit for our target group and the people we're going to be assessing. Okay, it's about helping the group. So I'd ask you to answer those 2 questions. You can start answering those now if you've understood what I've said. Otherwise, if you're feeling a little lost, I'm going to explain it again. Okay. And I'll start this time by saying that contextualization is about how we manufacture, how we create our assessment tools to provide maximum benefit for the groups of people that we're going to be assessing. Okay. So if we've got a bunch of people who are going to be baristas, okay, their workplace is going to be different to people who are producing non-alcoholic cocktails, mocktails, if you like, in a bar. Their workplace can be different. Maybe some of the industry factors are going to be different. The students themselves are going to be doing it for different reasons. The environmental location is going to be different. There might be different regulations or laws. Okay. Whichever target group you've got in your head, remember you wrote something about target groups way back in one of the early sections of this assessment plan. Put down some interesting things about the workplace, the industry, students, environment, and regulations relevant to that group. That's your answer to the first question. And the second question is, how are you going to use that information to contextualize the assessment tool? All right, hop to it. See how that works for you, folks. Lauren, in answer to your question about the industry and legislations, it's not so much the specific student, but more the industry legislation is how I see it that's relevant to that student and their situation. Okay. Because there's lots of legislation in lots of areas that are relevant to everything we assess and everything our students do. You can be much more specific than that answer as well. Do we choose only one target group? Jennifer, you'll remember right at the start, we had a target group in mind. It was like the 3rd section we filled in on this form. Okay. You might want to flick back there and remind yourself, okay, who was it I thought I'd be assessing, and then go from there. Okay. They could be from different industries. They could be doing different things, or it could be very specific. The choices are really yours. You chose many. Okay, that's fine. Then your answers might reflect many in what you put here. That's great. Thanks for clarifying that. Linda, I hope that provided some information for you as well. Okay. It's up to you guys as to how deep you dive into the information that's available with respect to your students. Mr. Wed, for example, we're very generic because we train people from a lot of different industries for a lot of different purposes. Okay. But for example, we've got competitors who only train people who work in mines. All of their TAE candidates work in mines. So they can contextualize everything they do for people who work in mines. That might provide extra benefit or extra understanding for people who work in mines and who think they're going to always be working in mines. Yes, that's exactly what we're doing in answer to your question, Janet. In B, do we write about contextualizing for our student groups? Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. Jennifer's asked for another explanation of contextualization. Jennifer, it's the biggest word in the course and takes a little bit of head time to wrap our heads around sometimes, but contextualization is how we design our assessment tools and our training. But here we're talking about assessment tools, how we design our assessment tools to make it more appropriate and sometimes easier for our students based upon who that group is. Okay. So based upon our expectations about our target group, how do we contextualize the tool and make it more relevant to them? Hope that helps you out. Thanks for asking your question too. Cool. Now in that B answer, we actually have one more dot point as well, but I'll just slide up the screen. So that might help you. Section B is about how we're going to contextualize, Jennifer. How are we going to do it? So in this case here, we're going to include workplace policies and procedures directly relevant to their work. We're going to consider legislation around serving and drinks and responsible food handling. Okay, because that's obviously important when we're serving non-alcoholic drinks. And we're going to include students' typical job roles in hospitality in like some of the role plays and scenarios we might create in our assessments. Folks, I'm running a little bit late. I apologize. We are very close to finishing, but I am aware it's just a little bit about after the top of the hour. So I apologize for that. Out of all the different webinars today, this is the one I was most worried about fitting in the time that we'd allocated. So I don't think we'll run late again today. So fingers crossed that will be correct. Folks, when you've finished A and B, could you pop another yeehaw in the chat for us, please? Another yeehaw, just so I know where people are at. How much longer have a meeting in the break? I reckon we'll be done within 4 or 5 minutes, Janet. 4 or 5 minutes. Okay. Yep. See you later, Amelia. If you got to go, you got to go, folks. Let's pop down to D. I'm going to skip C. I'm going to leave that to last. There's a reason I'm leaving it to last. I'm going to pop down to the last one. What reasonable adjustments could be incorporated into your assessment? So a reasonable adjustment is like contextualization, but reasonable adjustments are things we do for a single person. Now, we've got 4 answers here. We don't need 4 answers. 1 or 2 answers will be fine, but we need good ones. Okay. Put simply, reasonable adjustments are normally made because we get somebody very unusual who comes to be assessed by us. Most often, they've got a disability or very special circumstances. Okay. So what we've done here with some of our answers is we've provided ways that we could change our assessments based upon a person's personal circumstances. So think through, if somebody was if somebody was being assessed by you and let's say they couldn't write because of a disability, they couldn't physically write, how could you change one or more of the assessments? Okay. If they can't come to the usual location where you do the assessment, how might you change it? Okay. They might have language literacy and numeracy difficulties. They might not be able to write. Okay. They might have challenges verbally speaking. They might have challenges with their voice. How could you change one of the assessments? Think about these things and write down 1 or 2 ideas about a reasonable adjustment you could make and pop that in as your final answer. Claire, I have seen your request and I will make that happen in a moment. Okay, when you've got your reasonable adjustment done, just pop us a done in the chat, guys. Okay, fantastic. All right. Okay, I'm just going to pop up to the contextualization section for a second again. We had a request to just have a look at that information one more time. Is a group assignment analyzing a case study a product-based assessment? Yeah, I think it is, Leanne. I think that would be a product-based assessment, yes. Okay, just showing the answer to B again. All right. So we're now going to move on to the final question. Now, with the final question, thanks, Simone. Simone's offering some good advice there. So the final question, I'm going to let you do this after the session because it'll take you a little while to find the information, okay? There is lots of instructions here on what to do for answer C, okay? Read those instructions later and then provide two answers, answers 1 and 2. But I just quickly want to show you the process on what you will do. What you're going to do is you're going to look for something within the implementation guidelines that can be contextualized, okay? So quickly showing you this process. Can everyone see TGA again? Can you see TGA? Yes. Okay, cool. So on TGA, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you find a link to the implementation guides. You click on that link. That will then take you to the companion volume. Now, if there's multiple ones, choose the most recent companion volume, which will be the on the highest version number. Okay. You open up that companion volume. It will then download to your computer. You open it up. Now, they're huge documents, okay? Like there's the contents, all this stuff, okay? What you do is you look within that documents for two things that you could contextualize, okay? And what I usually do is I go Control F. That brings up this little search window. Now, unfortunately, it's come up underneath my thing, so I can't search. It's not going to work. It's underneath my Zoom controls. So I'm going to go to the section that for access and equity because I was going to search for it. There it is, 6.5. Access and equity is the usually go-to one. It talks about how we can make the training more and assessment more appropriate for people who have access and equity issues. That's a good place to go. Go find a couple of things in there that you can copy in as your answer. It asks you for a couple of ideas about what you can do from the implementation guidelines that gives you advice about contextualization. Don't look for something specific about the unit of competency you're doing. You probably won't find it. They tend to be very broad, the implementation guidelines. Find something general. Just choose two things. If this is me, I might copy that one, okay? And I might go to the page and say, oh, there's stuff here about reasonable adjustment. I'll skip that. Oops, don't want that. There's stuff here about the requirements for assessors. I might choose that. Or here we go, holistic assessment. That is very relevant about contextualization. I might choose something from there. Okay. Just choose two things, copy them down as your answer. Okay. And that will complete that last bit. Are you still on the assessment tool? Sorry, guys. Sorry. Stop share. Sorry, I didn't spot that faster. Okay. Can everyone see within the implementation guide now? Okay. So what you do is you look within the implementation guide and you look for things that are relevant to contextualization decisions. There was one there about holistic assessing units together. That's perfectly relevant. There was some stuff here about access and equity further down. Okay, I can choose something from there, like that one or that one. Just copy them down. Just going back to how we got there. Can everyone see my TGA page again? Yes, great. Okay. You go to the unit of CompTIA, you scroll all the way to the bottom, you click on the link at the bottom. That takes you to the training package implementation guides. In this case here, there's only one for this unit that I'm at, okay? But if you see multiple ones, just choose the most recent version, okay? You click on that, you download it, you open it, and that's how you get that document that I was showing you a moment ago, okay? It's a huge document. This one is over 100 pages, which is not unusual. Okay. And just look within there for two things relevant to contextualization. Don't look for something relevant directly to the specific unit. It'll do your head in. Just look for things generally that you could use. All right. That completes everything I wanted to show you during this webinar. What I want you to do now is finish off this assessment plan. Okay. And then we get together again for our next session, which starts, for those of you on the Eastern Seaboard, 11:30. So it's only 20 minutes away. Okay. So dive in, finish up that assessment plan, refresh, relax, jump out of this webinar and log back in using the same login details and be here in 20 minutes and we'll be ready to go again. Can you show what it looks like in the tool, the assessment instrument? I'm not sure what you mean, Janet, so I'm going to call you, okay? Okay, I'm going to try and give you a call. Okay, I'm not sure what question you're asking. All right, folks, that is the end of this one. Once you finish that assessment plan, if you get that done the next 20 minutes, you are in awesome shape and you're well set up for what we're going to do today. So jump offline now. That's the end of the webinar. Log back in again in 20 minutes time and we'll get started again at 11:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. All right, thanks, folks. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.